What's up again, everybody? WizKids sent me out a box. In fact, they told me that they were going to send a box. Actually, scratch that. Rewind to Monday. I got a call from FedEx saying that they shipped this box from WizKids to someone named DM Armada, and straight up WizKids put DM Armada on the package. It's pretty awesome. And they shipped it to the old address, the address that I used to live at until I moved most recently, like a month ago. And so FedEx had to get into contact with WizKids, who then gave them the okay to ship it to my new address. And so what I ended up getting was on Thursday a nice little box with 2 DM Armada basically on it. And I have a little video of me opening it a few minutes ago. So let's take a look at that. All right, so we got the WizKids package here. I've taken the little front part off the packing slip. I went ahead and cut open the middle tape. So let's go ahead and take a look and see what we got in here. Looks like we have a bunch of packing material. We've been sent some packing material. I imagine once I pull this packing material away, we'll probably see some Warhammer stuff. So let's see if that is correct. And yep, that was easy. It's right there. That's not as much packing material as I thought. 3 little pieces of this stuff. Wow, so we got all 3. Check this out. So we've got the Orcs team pack. Okay, Orcs team pack, front and back. Awesome. We have the Space Wolves team pack. This is one I'm really excited for. Actually, both of these team packs I'm really excited for, just to crack them open and take a little closer look at some of these cards. And then, of course, we've got the granddaddy of them all, the Battle for Ultramar campaign box, with that sweet, sweet Warhammer 40K art. That art is amazing looking. Check this thing out. Look at that. Look at that art. I always loved the art for these Warhammer 40K games. I never got into Warhammer 40K, but I always liked the art, and I wanted to get into it. It's just one of those things that I was just never in a position to jump in and purchase. So now I kind of get to kind of combine the love of this art style and just the lore of all of this with some sweet Dice Masters gameplay. So let's go ahead and hop over and take a look what the inside, the contents of this campaign box look like. So super awesome of WizKids for sending out a full-on set of the brand new Warhammer 40K stuff. This stuff is coming out in October. I'm super pumped for it. I think this is a great IP that I want to see a ton more of. I don't think, for me, this isn't enough. I want them to go crazy with IPs like this because I think it appeals to a wider audience. It makes the game a lot more interesting and fun and thematic. I am all about all this stuff. So let's go ahead and open the campaign box, shall we? I have some D20s. But this box art is sweet. Loud sounds incoming. So this is retailing for, or it will retail for, $39.99, just like the last campaign box, the Avengers Infinity campaign box. Let's move these team packs out the way. Get out the way. Anime and Dice Masters, that would be sick. So let's crack this thing open. Take a look at what we see inside. Oh, wow. That is like really hard to open. There we go. All right, so taking a look at what we see inside, it's pretty standard fare overall. We've got the really nice rule book with all the explanations on how to play the game, because you need that, especially if you're buying this for the first time. And if you are buying this for the first time, in fact, if you're tuning in and you've never seen Dice Masters played, or if you're interested in the game and want to kind of check it out, or if you love Warhammer 40K, welcome to the channel and welcome to Dice Masters. It is a super fun dice rolling game. Plays a lot like Magic the Gathering, but instead of building a deck of cards, you actually bring a team and purchase what you need when you need it, which is very, very cool, very strategic. Really encourages outthinking your opponent and trying to outplay him in that way. So I will, while we kind of talk about what's in this box, I'll tailor some of the things that I say to newer players in the hopes that if you are newer, you kind of get what I'm talking about and all that. So these are some nice little included play mats if you don't want to go out and buy one of these bigger play mats or have one custom designed like many people do. It comes with a play mat right out of the box so you and your friend can sit down and play the game. Nice thing is, like, the dice are small enough you could actually fit some stuff on here. So get that all up out there. We've got, which is, it's kind of strange to get one of these, but we've got a full-on list of what's in the box card-wise, which is interesting because, you know, these would make a lot of sense back when the product, when it was all blind product, but, you know, they still throw one in there. Nice little full-on talking piece about your team packs down here. Very cool. And on the inside of this box, after we take the plastic apart, boom, we've got two little bags. Oh, check out the sweet art on this bag. God, who does not like the art from Warhammer? Like, are you kidding me? That is sweet. And then the other one, so we'll put this one up. Compare the art. Yeah, get them Plague Marines in there. Look at that. That's sweet. And the material is that same material from the last few little play bags. Got to get that silica gel in there. Don't eat this stuff. Put it in your gym bag. Go work out. I need to. You got your 16 sidekick dice, so just enough for you and your friend to play along with. You have your 4 different colors of basic action dice. Just enough for you and your friend to play with. You've got all of the dice that come in the campaign box. They're all in this nice little package. And you can go ahead and dump them out. And they all just kind of sit nicely in the little campaign box. This campaign box is nice storage. If you're just getting into the game, you haven't, you know, been in the game long enough to really need a ton of dice storage, these things are perfect. They fit really well. And the nice thing about these two is they can fit all of the dice from this box plus the dice that you get from, you know, like one set of these team packs. So very, very sweet little deal. Well designed in that sense. If you're, you know, going and planning on buying like multiple team packs to try and get max dice, though, you're gonna probably want something a little bit bigger and more substantial. And then, of course, we have the most important thing, which is the cards that you actually need to play the game. That art is sick. I agree, Alex. You know what's up, man. So, come on out. So, first things first, obviously, we have the color indicator cards, of which I've actually almost never used. I just do not get behind color indicator cards. It's just not my cup of tea. I think a lot of people do use them, though, and obviously they are pretty important to know what dice are assigned to what basic action. Ooh, throw all that down. Now, I am going to reposition this camera so it's a little clearer and easier for you to see, so let's take a step away for a moment. Talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. All right, we're back. It's a little dark. I need to get some better lighting for this location. My last place had some sweet lighting. It was a lot nicer, and this one just needs a little bit of help, so I'm probably going to run out and get something to light this a little better, but bear with me while we take a look at these cards. So obviously, like I said, color indicator cards. Let's start chunking through these guys. Let's kind of cut this in half so it's easier to hold. Make sure you guys can see everything nice and crisp and clearly. Sorry for that glare there. Let me see if I can focus it just a little bit more. Generally that. Awesome. Okay, so Feted Bloat drone. In fact, I've talked about a couple of these Warhammer 40K box set Battle for Ultramar cards. These Bloat drones are some of the ones that I've already talked about from one of the videos I made a while back. So this one's got Deadly. It's a 5-drop. It's got 2 affiliations. Interesting thing to note that Team Up is going to be really good with this set because it has a bunch of affiliations that are not shared on anything else. So considering Team Up going forward, I like this set for building on some Team Up teams. This one has Deadly, and this one, when it attacks, all opposing character dice must block it. Deadly is a keyword. If you don't know what Deadly is, it basically means that anything that is engaged with this die in combat gets KO'd at the end of the combat step. So the end of the attack step, everything that gets engaged with this will die, no matter if it's dealt damage or not. And stat line, as you can see, is down here. Pretty decent stats. It's surviving most things it does. This card is sweet. I'm not going to sit here and give a full meta analysis. We're just going to kind of look at each card. I'll give general impressions. You guys tell me in the chat which cards you're hyped for and which cards you are not. Which cards you like and which cards you don't. This one is also a 5-drop. This one says while it is active, so when the die is sitting out in the field zone, When an opposing sidekick or level 1 character die is KO'd, you may field a sidekick from your used. It's also got this cool global, and a global ability is an ability that can be paid for at any time when you could use a global by either you or your opponent. It says pay a shield once per turn on your turn. Sacrifice a sidekick character die, and if you do, draw and roll 2 dice. Very cool global ability, one that I could see being paired with stuff like the Spot, of which Laurier in chat saw some really interesting things. Laurier, why don't you tell everybody about your sweet article with that interesting mimic combo you posted like an hour ago. I think it's sweet sounding. I liked that. 6-drop version of Feted Bloat drone. And just so you know, you can't actually run all of these different variants on one team. You have to pick one of these because you can't double or triple up on the Bloat drones. Because obviously you wouldn't know which dice correspond to which card. So you can only stick with one thing that corresponds to the name. I'm going to kind of move this camera, see if we can get a little bit of the glare off. Nope, no we can't. It's there forever. When Feted Bloat drone attacks, all opposing character dice get -3 attack. Not +3 attack, -3 attack. So this one debuffs everything, which is kind of cool. I like that. Sweet. Lord of Contagion. Some of these ones are really interesting to me. This is a 5-drop bolt character. Same affiliation. It's got that Plague Marine affiliation, which is really cool looking. While he is active, when you field a Plague Marine, that's the Plague one, right? Character die other than Lord of Contagion, deal 1 damage to target opponent. So this one you could just get him out there and start fielding a bunch of cheap things, maybe like a card we're going to see here pretty soon, the Poxmonger. Field a bunch of those up and you can trigger his ability multiple times in a turn. Very cool. The 4-drop version says, while Lord of Contagion is active, when a sidekick character die is KO'd, all other character dice get +1/+1. This one is really interesting to me because I want to put this on some sort of like board wipe team where it wipes your opponent's board, and if they have sidekicks fielded, all of your stuff gets the +1/+1, and because you KO'd all of theirs, you're getting a single-sided benefit. Because otherwise, you're giving that same benefit to your opponent, and you're just sort of scaling everybody up by the same amount. So taking advantage of it by wiping their board is really cool. Even if you just ping off your own sidekicks and then wipe their board, it's pretty good. 5-drop version has range. Range is a new keyword in this set. It says when this character attacks, all active character dice with range deal damage equal to their range value to target opposing character die. So basically, he's out there, that die's out there, you attack with it. Anything with range on the field will deal damage based on their range number. So this one will deal 2. If you're the attacker and you're pushing with your range characters, they will all deal their damage first, and then your opponent's range characters will deal their damage because you are the active player. The secondary ability says while he's active, when a damaged character die, either player's blocks KO it. So this one kind of sticks out there, and as long as it's out there, it makes blocking really bad for both people. So this one's kind of a mixed bag in my mind. Range is cool though. Ah, look at the art on this one. This one's so creepy looking. I love it. The Malignant Plague Caster, a 5-drop bolt character, says when fielded, re-roll each opposing level 1 or 2 character die, and then KO any dice that roll energy face, and return the rest to the field zone on whatever you rolled them, basically. Your opponent can pay 1 per character dice to ignore this for the entirety for that character die. So this one has a little built-in, I want to ignore that, but it's also got some removal that just makes it hard because they have to now float energy and not spend it on their turn just to save up to kind of keep you from doing some gross board wipey stuff. Really cool. The other one, the next one, is Miasma of Pestilence. And it says, when fielded, reroll target opposing character die. KO it if it shows an energy face. Otherwise, return it to the field. This would be a really cool ability, just a really straight up standard old school ability from like AVX days, the very first set in existence. It is that ability, but it's just a little too expensive in my mind. So I kind of wish that this were a little cheaper. It's got interesting stat lines too. So it's got a 6/2 on top, 4/2 on bottom. So 2/6/2 is very interesting. Easily KO'd so that you can re-trigger the when fielded effect. When fielded effects, basically when a die moves from the reserve pool to the field zone, you use this ability. Very much like Battle Cry from Hearthstone or Enter the Battlefield effects from Magic the Gathering. 5-cost Malignant Plague Caster. This one just has frag, which is the other new keyword in this set. And this one says, when a character die with frag attacks and KOs one or more blocking character dice with combat damage. So basically when it is engaged with something and ends up KOing said thing with its damage, deal 1 damage to all opposing character dice that did not block before damage is cleared. I have a hard time reading the frag ability. Not just like reading it literally, but I have a hard time seeing if this is worth it. Because all the frag characters that I've seen thus far make me go, yeah, but. So it wipes some sidekicks at the end of the attack step, and that's kind of good, but it means they get to reroll right away, the sidekicks. So I'm not quite sold on the frag keyword. We'll see. I guess we'll look at the other cards in this entire set and see if anything pans out. Hold on real quick. I'm going to take a drink of deliciously fresh water. Yeah, that was good. That was worth it. Mortarion. How sweet of a name is that? 7-drop. It says, when fielded, deal damage to all opposing players and character dice equal to Mortarion's level. That is a sweet ability. It's not particularly good considering it's attached to a 7-drop, but it's not bad either, and I would want to mess around and play with this. I think this is a really fun looking card. It's got a global that says pay a shield. Target character die gets +1 defense until the end of the turn. Not the most powerful global in the world, but man, it's a really cool, just in general, slam it down, it deals 1 to everything card like that. Mortarion, Primarch of the Death Guard. It's a 7-drop as well. This one is, while he is active, prevent the first damage to you from each source each turn. Which is really actually pretty good. This is pretty good against like attune things, because each time they ping, it's a source of damage. As far as I remember, this would be pretty good against attune, because it would take away the 1 attune damage unless they have the pseudo dragon out. Because each time they ping, that's considered a source. So yeah, this would be good in a lot of meta scenarios, as long as you can get to that 7. And there are some globals in game that can now do that. And then the final version of Mortarion says, when Mortarion blocks, blocked character dice deal no damage, no combat damage this turn. So yeah, this one's interesting as well. Just leave him out there and let him block, and then your guys are going to always survive. So very cool. And all of these things are designed to play in set and to play thematically. So I like a lot of these abilities that I've seen. Noxious Bloat Bringer. Oh, I could have said that a lot better. But I'm not going to do it again, because I'll do it 2 more times. 3-cost mask character. I'm not really looking at the stat lines. I'll let you guys look at those. This is a 3/3 on top, a 1/3/3 on top. For 3, that's fine. When fielded, deal combat damage to target player equal to the amount of energy in their reserve pool. And this is counting the energy symbols. This is a kind of a cool one. If your opponent's not spending everything that they roll and they're floating stuff onto your turn, then you just get to punish them for that. And there's a likelihood of that happening when you're playing in a limited format like a draft, or like if we just both opened a box and tried to make teams. There's a high likelihood that you're going to end up floating an energy or 2, and this card takes a little bit of an advantage of that. It's very cool. This is another 3-drop. This one says, while Noxious Bloat Bringer is active, deal your opponent 1 damage each time they spend a question mark energy. So this one's cool too. I could see this one being okay as well. There's not a lot in the game that encourages you to like search for, tutor up, or pull out question marks. There's a lot of things that energy fix for, like bolts, masks, that sort of thing. But this is sort of relying on people hard rolling question marks. But once they do, you just get to ping them, which is pretty good, because they're likely to spend it. So pretty interesting card. And then finally, the Dolorous Knell, which is, man, these things are so sweet sounding. Like all of the names, Noxious Blightbringer, Dolorous Knell. Like someone's got to have that as a username on like Twitter or something. While Noxious Blightbringer is active, deal your opponent 1 damage each time they purchase an action die. This one's interesting as well. I remember when this one was spoiled, that my first thought was, hey, that's kind of nice against things like Yanti. It's a little too slow and it doesn't do enough, but it's just interesting to watch them print little bits here and there that may do things to stop really powerful meta teams. So I like this card. Oh, the Plague Marine. Sweet, sweet art. Sweet art. 2-drop Fist character. This one's cool. While he is active, your sidekick character dice get +1/+1 and are KO'd at the end of your turn. I want to mess around with this. I want to look for like when KO'd effects, or like while active, if something is KO'd, do something, and just kind of fit this onto some sort of a team that does that. I mean, even just giving all your sidekicks +1/+1, making them 2/2s and then pushing with them, that just seems super interesting. So I like this card a lot. It's a 2/2 on bottom, and that's pretty bad, but I think they're all sort of statted like this. 2-drops in this set, they're all sort of statted like this, so this one's pretty cool. The next one is Pestilent Intestines, and it says, while Plague Marine attacks, or when he attacks, you may KO a sidekick character die, and if you do KO a sidekick character die, and it does not say yours, you could KO your opponent's, it looks like. If you do, Plague Marine deals 1 damage to the KO'd character die's controller. So obviously you want to KO one that belongs to your opponent, but if you did KO one of yours, you could give yourself 1 damage, but make yourself roll 1 extra die next turn. And if you're wondering why you would ever want to do that, just consider like a die being equivalent to like half a card advantage in like a deck builder or something like that, like a CCG, like Magic, right? So if you have like 1 more card than your opponent, you have an advantage because you have more things to do. Same thing with having extra dice. You have more energy available to you. Plague Marine, Festering Wound. When a sidekick character die is KO'd, you may field a Plague Marine character die from your used pile or prep area at level 2. So you KO your own sidekick, albeit like pinging it out or using some sort of an ability to give you some advantage. In addition to getting that thing KO'd, you then make a 2/1, which is cool. And it comes from prep or used, so it doesn't really, as long as it's not in the bag, you can pull and sort of tutor this out, which I think is really cool. I think tutor mechanics in this game are both powerful and not quite explored enough, so I like it when they introduce more stuff like that. Hold on, water break. All right, continuing on. Oh man, here we go, poxwalkers. These poxwalkers are cool. 1-drop Fist, no text. You're just looking at a 1-drop, which is very rare in the game of Dice Masters, and it's a 1/2 on top. You got to pay 1 to field it on top, but pretty cool 1-drop. Obviously, this is meant to sort of synergize with things that are looking for you to field this this faction or affiliation, as they're called in Dice Masters. 2-drop version. This one has Swarm. Swarm is a ramping ability that basically looks for a die in the field and then draws you extra dice based on pulling what you pull. That's a very generic way of explaining it. This one gets +1 attack for each other Poxwalker die in the field zone. So if you can get 4 Poxwalker dice out there, as you can see, there's a maximum of 4 that you can bring. If you can get 4 out there, then they are all giving each other +3/+3, or that's just on your side. So if your opponent also brings Poxwalker, then they're buffing all of the Poxwalkers on the field. So you could get pretty crazy with the number of Poxwalkers on the field and how you can use that to your advantage. This next one is also pretty interesting. This one, it has the Swarm ability as well, and this one says he is unblockable when attacking alone. So if you buff him up and then just push with one of these guys, then you can just deal a bunch of damage, and your opponent has to have some sort of removal, otherwise they're just having to take it. So very cool. So that is the first, that's the Plague Marine side of things. Now let's take a look at the Ultramarine side of things. Yes, exactly. You bring Doppelganger from the Tomb of Annihilation set, and you can get pretty crazy pretty fast with the Poxwalker stack, just buffing them up. So let's talk about these Space Marines, these Ultramarines, excuse me. 2-drop Primaris Inceptor, just blank text. He's got a 1/3/3 on top, which was good stats for a 2-drop. I would run this in a lot of different things, and it's it's double affiliated. So yeah, you slap this as a 2-drop onto a team-up team, and it does some serious work. Pretty good. I like that a lot. And it's a Fist, and I like the idea of Fist aggro coming up. I think that could be pretty powerful with that new Black Widow. Primaris Inceptor, the 3-drop Meteoric Descent. This one has range on it, so when this die attacks, it's going to trigger all the range. Or when this character attacks, it's going to trigger all the range on the board, which is pretty cool. I don't know if I like that for 3 as much as I like this just blank 2. So that's good stats for a 2-drop, but I like the idea of playing around with range. I want to see how that works. Just build a range team, go crazy. This one has an ability that says when Primaris Inceptor deals combat damage to an opponent, prep a die from your bag. So that's pretty good. As long as you can get this to connect. I guess you just push with this literally every turn and see if it can connect just to give you some ramp. Those are pretty good die. Primaris Intercessor. Another 2-drop. This one's a mask, and it says when fielded, if you control another ultramarine character die, Primaris Intercessor gains +1 attack. So look at the stat line on this. It's a crazy top fielding cost of 2. You got to pay 2 to get this guy out there, but he's a 2-drop, and he's a 4/2, and he gets +1 attack when you field him, which is pretty good. So you're getting a 5/2 just about every time you field it, because you're obviously running this alongside like another Primaris Intercessor or, you know, a Primaris Inceptor. Any of these Ultramarines tag well with him. Here's another frag one. This is a low drop frag. This is what actually makes me interested, because let's say you get a bunch of these on the field. They trigger per die. And so you get a bunch of 2-drops on the field with frag. You somehow guarantee that you're getting the KO, and with a 4/2, you're pretty likely to do that. And your opponent has to choose between either chump blocking, you know, and guaranteeing that frag goes off and deals 1 or 2 or 3 to your opponent's board, or they block with something of value and hope that the 4 attack doesn't take it out, or they just let it through for 4. And those are all your best case scenarios. So pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. I like this a lot. That frag on that low of a drop. It's pretty good. 2-drop as well. This one says while he's active, when your Ultramarine character dice cost 1 less to field, which is great because he does that to himself. So he's free to field on 2 sides, and he's 1 less to field on top, making him a 1/4/2. That is really good. So I would run this one. I mean, all 3 of those are really good. So solid cards. Look at the art on this. Look at that dreadnought. That is so cool. Wish that glare would go away. That's annoying. Here, what if I could put my head in it? No, I can't. What if I turn this light off? Guys, it's about to get real dark. Nah, I'm not going to do it. Nah. What if I push it like this? Does that help? I don't know. Primaris Redemptor Dreadnought, Engine of War, 5-drop, same double affiliation. This one says, when Primaris Redemptor Dreadnought is blocked, deal damage equal to its level, so either level 1, level 2, or level 3, to target opponent, and if you do, KO it at the end of your turn. So KO the Dreadnought at the end of your turn, which is interesting. You got a 5/7 on top, a 5-drop for this ability. I could see it, you know, like seeing some play on some casual stuff. Mess around with that, see if you can get it to trigger. It's unfortunate that, I guess you don't have to deal that, is it? You may. No, it just says deal damage. Yeah, so this is a must. You have to do it, which is kind of sad, because you just lose your 5/7, which is sad. When he is KO'd, so this is unlikely to be KO'd because of that defensive stats, 4 and 6 and 7 defense. Deal damage equal to its level to target opponent. So this one's sort of like this ability, except this one waits until it's actually KO'd to go off. It doesn't force you to KO it. And then finally, we have a 4-drop version with a good stat line for 4. KO Primaris Redemptor Dreadnought. At the end of each turn, you may pay 1 per character die to prevent this effect. So there's a clear drawback that you have to kind of just keep feeding it gas, in other words, to keep it around. But that's really cool and thematic in my mind. Primaris Reaver. Look at the art. Let's get closer. I'm gonna focus it up. Look at that art. That is so cool. Now if I pull back, will it be? No, it's still in good focus. 2-drop Bolt character. When Primaris Reaver is KO'd, deal 2 damage divided as you choose to any number of opposing character dice. It's a 2/3/3 on top, so really expensive to get this guy out. But again, you could run it with that one that makes fielding costs cheaper, and he's not so bad. This one's interesting because it's a when KO'd ability that just kind of keeps poking at your opponent's guys. Whoa, car outside. 3-drop version got range on it. So that one's interesting. Throw this on a range team along with the other Ultramarines, see how it pans out. And then we have when primaries reaver attacks. If the defending player has more life than you, deal 1 damage to that player. So this one sort of plays a little mini game where it looks to see if you're winning or losing, basically, and then kind of catches you up, which is it's kind of interesting. 3-drop. Oh, look at that. That's so sick. 6-drop bolt character. This one says range 2, and basically just works with the range. It's got a 288 on top for 6. It's not bad at all. Not bad at all. This one has the frag keyword, and it spells out frag there for you. It's a 6-drop as well, and it says when primaries repulsor attacks, at least 1 character die must be assigned to block it. So this is sort of like it's built-in taunt because it forces something to block it. Give this thing overcrush somehow, and you're just off to the races because it forces someone to engage with it. I love cards that put your opponents in bad decision-making situations, and this is one of those. Primaries repulsor, again, the final. Let me see if I can make this a little clearer, just a pinch. It's also got frag on it, which makes sense because this is a giant big old tank thing. And it says, while it's attacking, after blockers are declared, if primaries repulsor is unblocked, your other character dice get +2 attack. So assuming you can make this unblockable, then you could buff all of your character dice up. But other than that, I think this is always getting chump blocked or blocked by something because it's just hard in a game with 20 life to take 8. It's just generally very hard to do that. All of those are for 6. Oh, here we go. Primaries aggressor. So this one's a cool one. 4-drop. Got the frag keyword as well. On a 4-drop, that might work. That might be pretty good. It's got a 5/5 on top, so that's okay for 4. That's pretty good. Then it has this global that says pay 2 fists. Once per turn, all character dice get +1 attack until the end of the turn. This is an interesting global because it affects your opponent's character dice as well. So you're buffing everything by +1 attack. It's interesting. I'd be interested to see what some people come up with this. Because it's nice that it's a global that pumps all of your stuff. But maybe the trade-off that it pumps your opponent's stuff isn't that bad. You know, because either you've cleared it or you just have more stuff out in the field. Like, say you run a bunch of these 2-drops. This would make some sense. Another 4-drop, this one is Relentless Advance. It's got range 1, just like some of these other Ultramarine cards that we've seen. And this one says, while he's active, when an opposing character die is KO'd by range, prep a die from your bag. So this is something that you'd want to slam down on a range team because it has the range keyword and it gives you ramp based on using said range keyword. I missed, oh, yeah, Zach missed the, the Plague Marine cards. Sorry, Zach, they're over here. Boom, next up. Last up for the Primaris Aggressor, we've got, while he's active, when an opposing character die attacks, deal 1 damage to it. Pay a fist. It's got that same global. So when your opponent is just like throwing stuff at you, this basically keeps them from attacking with sidekicks, which is very cool. And the idea of it just sort of pinging stuff at willy-nilly is interesting, but it could be very bad against teams like Common Hulk out there at Power of Attorney. This basically just kills you. That would be a really fun sort of mini game or like weird game variant where you have to, you know, like suicide yourself against your opponent. That'd be interesting. That one works well. I don't recommend playing that, but there it is. All right, I'm gonna give this a shot. This is Reboot Gulliman. No, yeah, it's Gulliman. I had to look this up. Like the last time I did these reviews, I straight up had to look this up and practice saying Reboot Gulliman like 4 times before I was able to get it. It was quite the process. I think it took me like 20 minutes just to Google it, have somebody say it on like a YouTube video, and then practice it 4 times. Anyway, we've got a 7-drop who's got Regenerate, and we haven't seen Regenerate in, man, when was the last time we saw Regenerate? So Regenerate came about with the very first D&D set of this game, and it's an ability that says when this thing is KO'd, re-roll it, and if it comes up a character face, it just goes right back out. Pretty cool ability. We haven't seen it in a while. It's got a global that says pay a shield. The first character die you field this turn is free to field. Ah, the promo Wolverine was the last time. Ah, that makes sense. So this basically just makes anything that you want, the very first thing that you want to field 1, because you got to pay that shield. But like, let's say you wanted to field the level 3 Drax that's got a 3 fielding cost. All of a sudden now it's only 1 to field. So interesting. It's also good on its own within itself because it's got a 3/6/9 topside. So 7-drop Impulse ability. We haven't seen Impulse in a while either, except on the reprint of Big Entrance. Impulse says, when purchased, if you control at least 2 active ultramarine character dice, prep this die. So instead of whenever you purchase in this game, if you've never played or if it's been a while, when you purchase something, your purchase immediately goes to the used pile and then sits until your bag is empty, at which point you refill your bag with whatever's in the used, allowing you to draw dice that you've purchased. This, however, circumvents that, and when you purchase this and have 2 ultramarines active, this just goes straight over to prep. So it would move over here and you'd roll it immediately next turn. So it's an interesting ability. I love Impulse abilities, and I'd really like to see Impulse sort of embraced more and do weird, funky things with Impulse. Because you can do more than just move it to prep or put it in your bag or that sort of thing. You could do like pump things. Every time you buy this, give something +1/+1, or every time you buy this, place it on the field and, you know, immediately have it attack something and then KO. So that'd be really interesting things that you could do with Impulse. 6-drop shield character, last one of Reboot. It says while he is active, your other ultramarine and sidekick character dice get +1/+1. So really, really cool. I like this one a lot. I would want to mess around with this just because it gives your sidekicks that +1/+1 as well. And cards generally, I'm going to come back here in a moment. Generally, cards that do things to your sidekicks are good because your sidekicks are your starting team, if you will. Like, it's sort of the basis. You never get rid of them, unlike other deck building games. You can't get rid of sidekicks except for by fielding them or in very fringe corner cases. So anything that takes the very bare base bones stuff and allows you to buff them or do interesting things with them, they're generally good, especially in like limited or casual formats. All right, the last, wow, I didn't know this was in the back here. Very interesting. Okay, continuing on with this stuff, we've got Typhus. While Typhus is active, prevent the first point of damage to you from each source each turn. 6-drop. That's a very similar ability to what we had seen earlier. Typhus again, 6-drop, same thing. What's his top side? 288 on a 6-drop. Yeah, that's about right. We've got the attune keyword making its appearance. Here's attune. And then we've got the third Typhus, which is a 7-drop, and it's got range 2. They've really, and it's been pretty much universal on all the cards that have been released and talked about. They've pretty much gone very, very high on the purchase cost with things that have range 2. So if they've done their testing, if WizKids have done their testing, then range should be pretty good because they put it on really expensive cards that make it a lot less enticing to go for, unless it is really good. So we will find out by messing around with it if it's pretty good. Check this out, Vero Tiger. You would think that'd be like an A, but it's Tigurius. He's a chief librarian, and he's a 4-drop, got the same double affiliation. When fielded, prep a die from your bag. So just pop him out there, prep a die. And I think he's on top a 2/5. Is that a 2/5? No, it's 3/5. A 3/5 on top. Then we've got the second Vero Tigurius, and it's another 3-drop. This one says, when fielded, name a non-sidekick die, then draw a die. If it was the named die, prep it. And the fielded Vero Tigurius character die gets +2/+2. Return the drawn die to your bag if you did not name it correctly. So basically you name something and you kind of hope that it's not a sidekick that you pull. And if you've named it correctly, then it gets prepped. So this is when fielded, prep 1 and get +2/+2. That's pretty good if it triggers correctly. So that's an interesting one to keep your eye on. The final one says, while Chief Librarian Tigurius is active, which is interesting because this is not Chief Librarian Tigurius, this is Vero Tigurius. But we saw that he was Chief Librarian on the subtitle here, so I would imagine that they, at some point in time, changed his title, his actual card title, from Chief Librarian Tigurius to just Vero Tigurius. and forgot to change it on the card. But anyway, let's just assume that they're gonna errata this to say when Vero Tiger is active. Your other ultramarine character dice cannot be targeted by your opponents just by anything, like character abilities, global abilities, action dice, any of that can't be targeted. He gets +1/+1 for each other ultramarine character die, active ultramarine character you control. Not character die, excuse me, it's character. So let's kind of piece this together. You got a 3-drop here who's getting buffed based on the other characters you have active. So if you've got 2 dice of this, that's 1 buff, +1/+1. Let's say you got, you know, a die out there of the reaver, and you've got a die out there of, like, I don't know, the intercessor. He's getting +3/+3 based on the character, not the number of dice. But that's really good for a 3/5. Like, that's really good. This card is really good. And he's got 2 affiliations. Just throw him out there, throw him down, a couple of other ultramarines, and then just get out there and start attacking with him, because he's given himself the buff. All right, the last cards that we're going to look at are the basic actions of the set. Yeah, it looks like these are all the basics. So let's take a look at them real fast. Bolter Drill, 2-drop. Deal damage to your target opponent opposing character die equal to the number of character dice you control. So, and this is counting your sidekicks as well. So let's say you have like this plus a couple of sidekicks and, you know, like 1 more character. Then you're dealing 4 or 5. So that's pretty cool. The double burst, so if you roll it on that exact face on the die, it says also deal damage. Also deal that character die 1 additional damage. So it gives it 1 extra. Chaos, look at the art. Oh, it's so cool looking. Chaos Warp, 3. And then you just read the first sentence and you just chuckle. Draw and roll every die in your bag. Deal 1 damage to target player for each die showing a character face, and take 1 damage for each die showing an energy face. I forgot this card existed. That's hilarious. Place the rolled dice in your used pile. If you roll it on the double burst, it says also afterwards place a die from your used pile into your bag. That is so hilarious. Yeah, that's getting a combo video made about that card. Someone give me a fun combo with that. Let's make something that's hilarious. Excessive Ordnance is a 4-drop. Deal 6 damage to target character die. This one's interesting. I don't see myself like ever playing this. Dealing 6 damage to target character die is like pretty good if you're running up against a lot of big stuff. But paying 4 for that, I don't know. But it says pay a bolt. Target character die gets +1 attack. So maybe you run it for the global. The global is cool. The global. Oh, run that with Morph. That's hilarious. That would be really good. And then the other basic action would have to be create food and water so you could cycle back into your bag. Instant War, this card's cool. Each player draws 3 dice and fields all sidekick character dice drawn this way, or sidekick dice drawn this way. Each player places the remaining dice in their bag or used pile. So this just, you slam it down and you get 3 sidekicks, your opponent gets 3 sidekicks. This is like a really good combo enabler if you're looking for something that pings based on the number of character dice in the field zone, or if you like get some damage through based on fielding sidekick dice. Like, this is a really cool card. I like that one as a combo enabler. Into Battle. Prep 2 dice from your bag. If both dice are sidekick dice, prep an additional die. And then on one of the burst faces it says roll all dice prepped this way and place them in your reserve pool. So instead of just prepping them, you just get to roll them 1/3 of the time, because as you see, the burst face is printed on 2 out of the 6 sides of the die. Take a water pause, water break. This one's a cool one. I like this one as well. Might of Astartes. That's probably not how you say that. I probably insulted someone. 2-drop. Until the beginning of your next turn, character dice cost your opponent 1 more to field. Also, character dice cost you 1 less to field if you land it on the 1/3 again. This video is sponsored by H2O. That's right. You gotta stay hydrated. That's an interesting card. I like this one though. Let's talk about Orbital Strike. This one's fun. Reroll all active character dice. Deal damage to target opponents equal to the combined attack of all your active character dice that you rolled. showing character faces. So you're rolling all of yours, not your opponent's. KO the rest of the rolled dice and then skip your attack step this turn. And if you landed on the burst face, you can attack with one of your dice instead of having to skip your attack step. This one's super interesting to me because it's you don't see a lot of abilities in Dice Masters that just throw a bunch of damage at your opponent based on, you know, this or that. And leveraging like what you have in the field, rolling it as character faces, and then dealing a bunch of damage and KOing is really cool. Especially if you combine this with if your second basic action is momentum, because then you just use momentum after you use this. It takes a little bit of setup and planning, but momentum allows you to roll any dice that are in your prep area, which is where these KO dice go immediately. So you just KO all your stuff and then throw it out there, just jam it down. Use this with team up. Oh, see, that would be cool too. That would be really cool. Yeah, as long as you land your characters on character faces, both this and team up would still work. So yeah, that's really cool. Little combo. Rolling Thunder, a 5-drop basic action. Those do not see a lot of play generally. And this is basically the why did I just forget the name of that basic action that this is a reprint of? Oh man. What is it, everybody? Anyway, it's deal 1 damage to target character die. If it isn't KO'd, deal 2 damage to something else. And you just got to keep picking things and upping the damage by 1. 3, 4, 5. It's the Mjolnir action. And then there's the Cone of Cold basic action, right? But Cone of Cold stops at 3. Yeah, Cone of Cold stops at 3. So yeah, this is just Mjolnir on a 5-drop. So you could play it if you wanted to, for some reason, as a basic action. Seething Corruption. Until the end of the turn, when an opposing character die takes damage, KO it. So this is a 4-drop version of Danger Room, or you could just consider it a basic action version of the Staff of the Forgotten One that you give your opponent access to. I don't know if necessarily you want that, but as long as you're hiding the damage trigger within your team, then you could generally take more advantage of it than they can. It's pretty cool, though. Pretty cool little staff variant. And then finally, the most interesting one, a 2-drop static field that says, character dice only deal 1 combat damage this turn. Pay a mask, remove a target attacking character die. The global is obviously really good. But the ability is just so, like, it makes you go, huh, what do I do with that? Character dice deal only 1 combat damage this turn. I just want to think about what that means. So this is great for when attacks abilities, because, well, no, I guess it's not that great because it nukes whatever damage you would do, so they don't necessarily have to block. Huh. Actually, it is kind of great for when attacks abilities because it's got the built-in global as well. But that's just super interesting to me. It's an interesting one. Kate Bishop. Kate Bishop. You could use it with Kate Bishop. Sure. So those are the contents. That's the contents of the Battle for Ultramar campaign box. Lots of cards that you get with it. $40 gives you a giant case, gives you all these cards. Gives you just a lot of really cool stuff. And there you go. You're just off to the races, ready to play. It gives you the bags, obviously. It gives you the little mats if you don't have a mat yourself. Gives you a rule book. Gives you color indicator cards. Really cool cards. Very synergistic. Very interesting. If you've never played the game, or if you just love Warhammer 40K, it's a good way to pick the game up and get started on playing.